You did not stumble upon this video by accident. Right now, the very fact that you stopped here, listening to these words, is already a sign. A sign that perhaps you have stepped out of your old vibrational layer and are preparing to touch another realm of space, one that very few have ever set foot in. There are dreams that are unlike any other. They are not chaotic, not blurry, not fleeting images that dissolve the moment you open your eyes. On the contrary, they appear with a strange sharpness, so vivid that you can still feel the light, the sound, even the texture of walls in a room you have never known in waking life. Many people recount dreaming of a strange house, an endless hallway, or a city that does not exist on any map, yet feels hauntingly familiar. They wake with the sense of having just returned from a long journey, and for the entire day, the images of that place continue to haunt them, refusing to let go. This is not something everyone experiences, because perhaps it is not merely a dream. When you find yourself stepping into a strange place, it may well be that your consciousness has crossed an invisible boundary to touch a parallel layer of reality. A layer where you, in some form, are living, breathing, continuing another story. And you, within the dream, have only just glimpsed it. Ask yourself, if those places were not real at all, why would you feel such a deep sense of belonging to them? If they were only the product of the brain, why would they leave behind a resonance more powerful than any waking memory? Perhaps the answer lies here. You are different. You are one of the few who can sense, see, and slip through the fragile seams between timelines. And today, this video will take you deeper into that phenomenon. We will explore dreams of strange places, why so many ancient cultures believe them to be gateways to other worlds, and how modern quantum science is beginning to shed light on this very experience of crossing realities. But most importantly, we will arrive at the question, if you have ever dreamed of a place that does not exist in this reality, then ultimately, who are you? And which world are you truly living in? So don't be quick to leave, because if you have ever had such dreams, then this video is not only meant for you. It may well be the reminder that you were never ordinary, and that those dreams were never random. Perhaps you have experienced this feeling. In a dream, you suddenly find yourself stepping into an unfamiliar house. It is not your home, nor the home of anyone you know. Yet, strangely, every hallway, every staircase, every window feels eerily familiar, as if you had lived there long ago. Others recount dreaming of a city with unknown streets, buildings that have never existed in waking reality, but with a powerful sense of, this is where I once belonged. These kinds of dreams share one thing in common. They do not carry the chaotic, hazy quality of most dreams. Instead, they are sharp, vivid, and detailed. So much so that upon waking, the dreamer can remember every crack in the wall, every slant of light through the window, every sensation of their feet against the ground. All over the world, countless people have reported similar experiences. A young woman in Canada described how she often dreams of a vast library, where soft golden light pours down upon endless rows of bookshelves. Each time she steps inside, she feels as though she is approaching a source of knowledge beyond human comprehension. A man in Japan repeatedly dreams of a strange subway station, where trains arrive and depart without electronic boards, without announcements, and passengers move in complete silence. Even more uncanny, on international forums, hundreds of strangers have discussed and discovered that they too had dreamed of the same kinds of spaces, sharing the same architecture, the same atmosphere, the same uncanny familiarity. The difference lies here. Ordinary dreams are often shaped by memory, emotion, and fragments of daily life. You might dream of your old school, your workplace, or your childhood home. But the strange place is different. It does not exist in your memory, and yet, within the dream, you carry a powerful intuition that you know it. This paradox has left millions of people puzzled. How can the mind create spaces that are both unfamiliar and intimately familiar at the same time? One psychological hypothesis suggests that the human brain can reconstruct memory and experience, blending them into new scenes. A hallway may be pieced together from a memory of your school, combined with details from a movie you once saw, resulting in a place that feels entirely new. But this explanation does not satisfy everyone. Because out of the endless possibilities of dreams, why are there places that hundreds, even thousands of strangers describe in the same way? Why are there dreams that not only feel real, but leave such a lingering impression that the dreamer is haunted for days afterward? Another approach comes from the quantum perspective. Consciousness researchers suggest that during dream states, especially when the brain shifts from beta waves into theta waves, human awareness may slip out of the usual bounds of space-time. In those moments, we are not merely dreaming inside our own minds, but potentially connecting with a much larger field of information, a field that holds spaces, memories, and even parallel realities. The strange place you encounter in a dream may not be an invention of imagination at all, but rather a fleeting doorway into another layer of reality. That is why this phenomenon always leaves behind a hovering question. If that strange place truly exists, have you perhaps stepped into it once before, in another lifetime? Or is the dream simply the trace of a brief journey where your consciousness slipped beyond the borders of your current timeline? And this is only the beginning. For when we look deeper into ancient cultural, religious, and philosophical traditions, we find that belief in these strange dream spaces has existed for ages, woven into the human journey itself. But before we go further, ask yourself this. Have you ever awakened from a dream with the overwhelming sense that you had just returned from a place that does not exist in this world, yet was far too real to deny? For thousands of years, humans have believed that the strange places in dreams are not merely products of the mind. They were seen as doorways opening into another realm, where the living and the dead, past and future, the visible and the invisible all meet. Interestingly, despite being separated by continents, many ancient cultures share one common belief. They regarded dreams as journeys of escaping ordinary reality. In Tibet, the concept of bardo, the intermediate state, is described as a realm between life and death. Tibetans believe that in dreams, consciousness could temporarily leave the body and step into another dimension, where one encounters visions both unfamiliar and yet familiar. Endless corridors, empty rooms, mysterious temples, all were seen as gateways into the bardo, and crossing through them could alter the entire course of one's spiritual journey. Dream yoga, an ancient practice, was even developed to train individuals to use dreams themselves to control awareness, as a rehearsal for the journey into the afterlife. In ancient Greece, dreams were also regarded as places where the divine left their marks. In the temples of Asclepius, the god of healing, the sick would often come to sleep, believing they would dream of the very temple itself. And within the dream, gods or guiding spirits would reveal to them cures for their illnesses. Dreams of a temple glowing in the darkness were passed down for centuries, serving as evidence that certain dream spaces were not just imagination, but gateways to healing and enlightenment. Further south, many tribes of South America believe dreams opened a true dreamscape, a land of spirits that genuinely exists. People told of walking through forests that do not exist in waking life, encountering ancient houses, or even cities suspended upon the clouds. To them, these were not illusions, but the very places where ancestors awaited. Dreams became a bridge of bloodline, allowing the living to receive guidance and protection from the departed. What is uncanny is that these descriptions align with modern experiences people still report. Stepping into places they have never seen before, yet feeling so familiar, so intimate, that it becomes haunting. As if an invisible thread connects today's dreams with the beliefs that have existed for millennia. Could it be that our ancestors already understood that dreams are not merely reflections of the mind, but pathways for moving between layers of reality? When a Tibetan monk describes the bardo as the realm where surreal images appear, when a South American shaman insists the house in a dream truly exists in the dreamscape, when an ancient Greek slept in the temple and awoke with a cure revealed, these stories come together like puzzle pieces, confirming that dreams have always been journeys across the boundaries of reality. Today we may call this crossing realities. But in truth, long before quantum science emerged, humanity had an intuition that every dream was a doorway, and every strange place within a dream was a sign that we had stepped into another timeline. So, if one night you dream of a house that belongs to no memory, a city absent from any map, or an endless corridor, do not be quick to dismiss it as a disorder of the mind. Perhaps you have just walked a path that humanity has called by many names for thousands of years. Bardo, the temple of Asclepius, dreamscape. But all point to the same truth. Those strange places are real in ways that earthly language can never fully capture. There is a strange phenomenon that modern science still cannot fully explain: shared dreams. Imagine waking up from a dream, recounting it to someone else, and realizing that they, somewhere far away, on the very same night, dreamed of the same space, the same room, even the same haunting detail. Stories like this are not rare. On international forums, thousands of strangers describe having dreamed of endless golden-lit corridors, cities floating among purple clouds, or an old house with a spiral staircase leading down to a basement. The frightening thing is this: they have never met, never spoken. Yet their descriptions are so identical, it sends chills down the spine. If dreams are merely products of the brain, chaotic blends of memory and imagination, then why do thousands of different minds manufacture the same imagery? Could it be that they truly stepped into the same space that exists beyond individual consciousness? In folklore, this phenomenon has long been recognized. Ancient Greeks told of groups of people who sometimes dreamed together of standing inside a god's temple, and the next morning, each remembered the same details: the color of the light, the position of the statue, even the god's words. In South America, shamans believed that the dream lodge, the house in dreams, could be visited by many souls on the same night, like a genuine gathering place. Today, we call this the phenomenon of shared dreams. Psychologists attempt to explain it with the effect of collective memory, arguing that stories we hear by day may trigger similar imagery in sleep. But one thing they cannot dismiss: the level of detail and repetition. When thousands of strangers across the world dream of the same endless corridor with flickering golden lights, that goes far beyond random coincidence. Quantum science offers another hypothesis. All consciousnesses are interconnected through a non-local field of information. In the dream state, when the brain temporarily loosens its grip on material reality, human consciousness may touch this field like multiple radios tuning into the same frequency. And on that frequency, images, spaces, and strange places are shared, appearing simultaneously in the minds of many. Picture this: you are not dreaming alone. When you step into the old house with the spiral staircase, perhaps somewhere else, in another city, another person is descending that same staircase in their own dream. Two minds, strangers to each other, yet both touching the same third reality, where they exist side by side in the dream state. This leads to a deeper question. If many people can share the same dream, is that dream truly a personal illusion? Or is it a real place beyond the boundaries of waking reality? Perhaps the places that thousands of people dream of, corridors, houses, cities, do not merely exist within the mind, but truly reside in a dimension we have yet to reach when awake. And in that sense, dreams are no longer just imagination. They become evidence that human consciousness can transcend the limits of a single body, a single brain. They suggest that in the darkness, when we close our eyes, we may be participating in a far greater gathering, where thousands of consciousnesses meet in an unseen land. Perhaps that is why the phenomenon of shared dreams leaves us both amazed and unsettled, because if it is real, it means you are not just dreaming, you are truly standing on the same ground as people you have never met in another reality. And that changes everything. Modern science has long painted a seemingly solid picture of the world. Time as linear, space as stable, everything existing within a single order. But when we step into quantum physics, that picture begins to dissolve. Time is no longer a one-way stream. Space is no longer a fixed frame. And the idea of a single reality suddenly becomes a fragile illusion. In the view of the many worlds interpretation, the theory of parallel universes, every decision, every possibility branches into a new reality. When you choose to turn left instead of right, another version of you in a parallel timeline turned right. As you sit here listening to these words, another you may be standing on a balcony, gazing at the sky. Infinite branches, infinite realities, all existing side by side. Yet in everyday life, we are only aware of a single flow. Dreams, however, do not obey this rule. In dreams, consciousness slips free of the rigid boundaries of body and time. You might find yourself in a place you have never been, speaking with someone long deceased, or living an entire lifetime within just a few minutes of sleep. This is not merely imagination. It may be the wave of consciousness sliding into another reality where another you is truly alive. Quantum physics calls this phenomenon superposition, the overlapping of states. A particle can exist in multiple positions simultaneously until it is observed. And in dreams, you become that quantum particle, overlapping across multiple timelines. When you awaken, you remember only a fragment, a single image. But the experience may have been your consciousness touching another version of yourself in another space. Imagine this. Dreams are not illusions, but gateways leading into parallel timelines. When you dream of a city that does not exist in waking life, perhaps in that very moment, you are walking its real streets in another reality. When you see a house that feels familiar, yet you have never visited, perhaps it is the home of your other self in a different world. This is something many thinkers have long sensed. Tibetan masters practicing dream yoga believed humans could use dreams to step into other realms, not only as a spiritual metaphor, but as an actual movement of consciousness. In Norse mythology, dreams were said to be the bridge linking Midgard to other realms of the cosmos. And now, quantum physics provides a new language to explain it: crossing realities. When you dream of that, perhaps you have stepped into the crossing point between your old timeline and the new. There is a beautiful metaphor in physics: decoherence, when a particle leaves its superposed state and is forced to choose a specific reality. In waking life, when you open your eyes, you fall into decoherence, left with only one familiar timeline. But in dreams, you remain within coherence, still floating among possibilities, still able to pass through invisible borders, glimpsing fragments of another life. This also means dreams are an intermediate state, a threshold where parallel timelines intersect. And if you have ever dreamed of strange places, vivid and detailed beyond what could be random, perhaps you truly have crossed realities, stepped across the boundary into another existence. Reality is not singular, and dreams may be the last doorway we still hold to break free from that illusion. There are dreams that pass like smoke. You wake up and they dissolve, leaving no trace. But there are other dreams, so vivid it chills you that you cannot dismiss them as mere imagination. And it is precisely these dreams that often carry signs you have just crossed realities, stepped across the border of another existence. The first sign, an extremely vivid and real sensation. In the dream, you don't just see blurry images, you touch, you smell, you hear the wind whistling through the window, you feel the cold floor beneath your feet. Everything is alive, as if you are truly there. Science calls these hyper-real dreams, but in quantum language, one could say you have synchronized your consciousness with another timeline where everything truly exists. The second sign, the place repeats across multiple dreams. You dream of the same room, the same hallway, or the same strange city many times on different nights. Each time, you may discover new details. A door opens, a road stretches farther, a face passes by. This repetition is unlike ordinary dreams. It feels as though you are returning to a fixed point in another timeline, one your consciousness has already stepped into. The third sign, the feeling of belonging to that place. You walk in the dream and feel something strange. This place is not foreign, even though you've never seen it in waking life. It feels as though you've lived there, breathed that air, grasped that doorknob thousands of times. Intuition tells you, this is home, this is where I belong, yet your current reality denies it. That feeling is the whisper of consciousness telling you that you are touching another version of yourself. The fourth sign, details or physical laws are different. In the dream, you see a clock with its hands running backward. You walk down a staircase that never ends. You look at a sky with two moons or light shining from impossible directions. These discrepancies are like traces, evidence that you have entered another reality, where the rules of the game are not the same as the one you live in. The fifth sign, the dream leaves a lingering aftershock when you wake. Some dreams fade instantly upon waking, but if you have just crossed realities, you awaken with a strange sensation that lasts for hours, even days. You remember every detail, every scent, and feel as though you haven't fully returned, as if part of your consciousness is still on the other side. The strange thing is that many people around the world have reported such experiences. They do not know each other, do not share cultures, yet they describe recurring places, illogical details, and a sense of hyper-reality. If this were only the brain's game, why would there be such resonance? Perhaps dreams are not just a product of the brain, but maps for the brief journeys of consciousness across parallel realities. And if you have ever experienced one or more of these signs, ask yourself, is it possible you are not merely dreaming, but truly stepping into another reality, even if only for a moment? When a dream leaves behind a powerful resonance, people often ask, what does it mean? In many ancient cultures, dreams were never just fleeting images in the mind. They were doors, messages, reminders from deeper layers of reality. In Tibet, dreams were considered part of the spiritual path. It was believed that when you dream of a strange land, it could be Bardo, the intermediate realm between lives, a threshold space the consciousness passes through when leaving the body. those places that do not exist in waking life, were seen as signs that the soul was learning how to move between worlds. The ancient Greeks saw dreams as a bridge between humans and the gods. In the dream temples, Asclepion, the sick would sleep overnight so that the god Asclepius could appear in their dreams, guiding them toward healing. For them, dream spaces were places where one could touch a higher power beyond material limits. Many South American tribes believed that dreams were not illusions, but an entirely real parallel world. They called it the dreamscape, a realm where the soul wandered, met ancestors, and learned knowledge inaccessible during the day. For them, when you entered a strange city in a dream, you might be visiting a land their tribe had known for thousands of years. From the lens of modern science, dreams may point toward the non-linear nature of time and space, the many worlds. Interpretation suggests that countless worlds exist in parallel. If so, each strange dream could be a moment when your consciousness slips out of the familiar timeline and touches another stream of reality. Even the strange rules of dreams, the endless staircase, the backward flowing clock, the sky with two moons, may reflect a different physical logic. In that parallel reality, the rules of the game are not the same as the one you live in. And it is precisely this difference that leaves you stunned upon waking. But perhaps the greatest meaning lies not in explaining the dream, but in its impact on you. If a dream makes you wake with the question, "Which is my true reality?" then that dream has already accomplished its most important task, expanding the boundaries of your perception. It makes you realize this life is not everything. It gives you the sense that more than one story is unfolding, and you are only living in one slice of it. Such a dream is not merely a message from the gods or a strange quantum phenomenon. It is also a mirror reflecting the soul, showing you that you are not confined to this name, this body, this past. You are part of a greater field, where countless possibilities coexist. Perhaps the deepest meaning of dreaming of a strange place is an invitation that you can step beyond limits. That reality is not fixed, and consciousness can move. That the life you are living is only one of many stories your soul may experience. And if you have ever woken with the feeling that place was too real to be just a dream, then perhaps you have touched a layer of existence that most humans have never known. Not everyone has experienced strange dreams of a place that does not exist in waking life, yet feels so vivid it convinces you it is real. Such dreams do not arrive by chance. They are like secret invitations, sent only to a few who carry within themselves a rare sensitivity. If you have ever stepped into an unfamiliar city that feels hauntingly familiar, walked down an endless corridor, or stood inside a room that never existed in waking life, yet carried the undeniable sense of this is home, then you belong to a different kind of group. Your dream is not a recycling of daily memories. It is a sign that your consciousness is functioning like an antenna, receiving signals from layers of parallel reality that most of humanity will never touch. Others may wake up and quickly forget their dreams, but you do not. You awaken with a lingering obsession that place is still out there, existing side by side with your current life. This feeling troubles you, makes you question the limits of reality that are usually taken for granted. And in that very moment, you realize you might not just be an individual living within a single timeline. You are a traveler between realities, a being whose consciousness is fluid enough to slip into other dimensions whenever you step into dreams. This does not make you alone, but it does make you rare. Scattered across the world, many strangers, different in language, culture, and belief, have all described similar experiences. They all speak of the same sensation. That place was too real to be just a dream. Such alignment cannot be explained simply by imagination. It reveals that dreams may not be the isolated product of the brain, but a shared doorway into a quantum field of information. A realm where all of us are connected, though only those with a special frequency can tune in clearly. If you are one of those few, then this difference itself is a reminder that you belong to a hidden community, a small group of invisible travelers moving silently among countless realities. And the meaning of this difference extends beyond the dreams themselves. It changes how you see yourself. For when you know that you can touch other places, you also understand that you are not confined to a single story. You realize that perhaps you have lived many parallel lives, loved, lost, and existed in countless forms your present consciousness cannot recall. Such dreams become proof that your soul is far greater than you once believed. So if one night you find yourself walking across a bridge of light connecting two cities, or stepping into a room filled with strange illumination, remember, it is not just a dream. It may be a reminder that you carry within you the key to open the doorway into another reality. And that key was never given to you by anyone else. It has always been within you, waiting for the dream to awaken it. If one night you dream of walking down unfamiliar streets, stepping into a room that has never existed, or standing in a strange city that somehow feels impossibly familiar, then do not be quick to dismiss it as a meaningless dream. Perhaps that was the very moment you set foot into another reality. Such dreams do not appear at random. They do not choose everyone. They find souls carrying a different frequency, people with heightened sensitivity, those whose consciousness functions like a refined antenna, catching signals from layers of parallel realities. For them, dreams are not merely products of the mind. They are doors, bridges, fleeting memories from a parallel timeline. Perhaps you have awakened in confusion, asking yourself, where was I just now? Why did that place feel so real? Such questions do not yield instant answers, because the essence of crossing realities does not lie within linear logic, but within overlaps, within the cracks of space and time. And you, simply by dreaming, have stumbled into that very gap. Remember this, you are not ordinary. If everyone could dream of such strange places, this phenomenon would not be so striking. But in truth, only a few carry this ability. This is not meant to separate you from the world, but to remind you that your dreams have value, that they are not random illusions, but perhaps the traces of another reality inviting you to see. In ancient cultures, dreams were believed to be the pathway connecting the soul to the invisible world. In quantum science, we are beginning to realize that consciousness may not be bound by physical limits, but could instead have the ability to connect with parallel dimensions. And in your own experience, those dream places remain vivid, intact, as though you could return to them simply by closing your eyes. So next time you dream of an elsewhere, receive it as a message, as a clue. Perhaps it is a reminder that you have already moved beyond your old vibrational layer. Perhaps it is evidence that you do not exist within a single timeline. Or perhaps it is the way the universe shows you that you have never been alone in your journey of consciousness. And now, the final question is left for you. Have you ever dreamed of a place that does not exist in this reality? And if you have, would you dare to see it not just as a dream, but as the moment you truly stepped into another reality?